Welcome to the Princess Power Hour, where we show you how to go from pauper to powerful by transforming your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Here's the princess of podcasting herself, Natalie Thomas.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We are going to have a very interesting show. We have a nice surprise from you from Eastern Europe. I'll tell you all about that in a minute, but as always, I tell you about my lip color of the day. And I am wearing plum, and I think I mixed it up the other day. I mixed up plum and berry. And I think I just did. This is berry. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, anyway, they are very similar in color. They are both beautiful. I love it. I love that they are lead-free, wax-free, that they are not animal tested. They are vegan. They are GMO-free. And check it out. They are kiss-proof and smudge-proof. Now, you can grab that over at lipstickkissesandlove.com. We have a bunch of beautiful colors, over 50, and we have about a dozen different glosses. I only have 2 here on my desk, but pick one out because the gloss is the secret sauce that locks the color in. You just do 3 light coats of the color, and after you've applied that gloss, it is going to last you 4 to 18 hours. So check that out, but do it later because right now we have Miha Matlievski, and he's going to sit here and go, "You just butchered my name, and I'm so sorry." Do you want to say it for us, Miha? Pretty please.
It's Miha Matlievski, but
yeah,
people get it wrong all the time, so I'm really used to it, and I'm not offended when somebody says it in a wrong way.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. My first name is Natalie, and my husband's name is Cayetano, and they are both hard to spell. They're hard to pronounce. I get called Natalie all the time, and so I can understand, but I did try, and I'm sorry that I butchered it. We will try not to do that again. So everybody, Miha is from Serbia, and he's only been there about a year. You were in, let me see if I get this one right, Slovakia before that?
No, Slovenia.
Slovenia! I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Which is where our beautiful First Lady is from. And while he agrees that he's beautiful, he has some other opinions about some other things, but we won't go there right now. What we're going to be talking about today is called Always Fall Forward. Okay? Now, we can fall down in life, we can get knocked down, kicked down, pushed down, beaten up, and shoved around, but he suggests that we fall forward. So we're going to be talking about that. I am so excited. And the amazing thing is he has taken the School of Hard Knocks and he has made a career out of failure. So let's hear what he has to tell us today. Welcome and thank you for joining us. It must be some crazy hour there. What time of day are you calling us from?
Well, thank you first for inviting me. It's really a pleasure. But yeah, it's not so crazy hour. It's 10 p.m.
That's a little bit late to be up and having to work. I appreciate that you took the time to do that.
I'm actually more a night guy, so
so it worked out well for you.
Yeah. It's perfect for working closely with people from USA and Canada. I'm more in tune with those time zones than with local time zones, so yeah.
Oh, very nice. One of the joys and pleasure in my life in being able to kind of make money while I sleep, which is what I teach people to do, or when I'm playing or just having fun. You know, we go through seasons where we work really hard and we build something, but then we can enjoy it. And I'm kind of in that enjoying season. Last year was a really hardworking season, but I've really narrowed down my work hours. I love that book, The 3-Hour Work Week. I think it's 4-hour work week, actually. But yeah. The bottom line is I don't even start doing anything business related before 1 p.m. And the only time I make a really rare exception is for people that I'm going to do one earlier in the day for somebody in the UK coming up. But I love being able to build flexibility in my life. You know, I've decided I want to go to the gym and have time to focus on other things, and then a small amount of time for work, and then back to other things that I enjoy. And so it's neat that, you like nighttime things and you're comfortable with that, and you can have that flexibility in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I tried, what everybody says, the thing like wake up super early, all successful people do that, and, have this schedule and that schedule. And my body was always fighting against it. And then
Mm.
one day I said, well, fuck it. Excuse me, but
Yeah, pretty please don't use that word. We'll get kicked off of iTunes.
okay. So yeah, I said,
Mhm.
I just need to figure out something that will work for me. And what I did was I was being mindful about my biorhythm, and I figured out that in the morning or in the early hours after I wake up, I'm best at doing tasks, just simple tasks. I go like bam, 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 bam through them.
Mhm.
And then I need a bit of rest. It doesn't have to be sleeping, just, a little bit of rest with my dogs or something like that, some nice music, a bit of meditation, and just to recharge. And then after lunch, at let's say starting from 1 p.m. all the way to 4, 5, 6 p.m., I'm best at doing phone calls with people,
Mm.
like discovery calls, strategy
Mhm.
sessions, and so on.
Mhm.
And then I get completely drained of all my energy, and I need to really recharge. And that's where
Mm.
my afternoon nap comes in. And then, then it's a bit of evening, hanging out with the family and so on. But then after 10, 11 p.m., I get super creative.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I've learned this technique where you don't sleep in just one go. I'm not
Mhm.
sure how it's called,
Mhm.
but you do it like 2 or 3 times a day. So you get
Mhm.
7 hours. It's just not in one go, and that works perfectly for me because my friend has this joke that I'm like an iPhone. So I discharge quickly, but I recharge quickly as well. So, yeah,
Ah, I
and
like that.
yeah, and that just works for me. So looking at my biorhythm was definitely one of good decisions that I've made. And yeah, like you said, if you focus on what's really, really important and just double the time you spend with the really important stuff, you don't have to work 10 hours a day. You don't have to work
Mhm.
even 8 hours a day. I often say it when I do workshops on productivity. I say, in my opinion, 3, 4, maybe 5 really focused hours of working every day. And that's basically what you need, because you need to recharge and you need some life balance. I was just on a call before we started
Mhm.
this podcast, and I heard, like, wow, now for 1 year, I want to give everything. I'm ready to let go of everything. I have this super crazy goal. I want to reach this point. And I was like, okay, some sprints are okay when you put other things on the side. But if you do that sprint for too long, it will become a habit. And I my sprint was when I was 20, lasted for almost 10 years, and
Mm.
it became a marathon where I was putting everything on the side. I had no life other than work.
Mhm.
And in that process, I got married, I got divorced because I had no time for
Mhm.
family and all that. And then when I crashed and burned in 2009, when I had this collapse of all my companies, and I went from plus 12.5 million euros to minus
Wow.
3.6, and I'm talking about personal wealth.
Mhm.
So from personally having 12.5 to personally owing 3.6 to banks, to creditors, to suppliers, even to employees. Because in Slovenia, the laws are a little bit different. And uh, if your company goes into bankruptcy, you still owe the employees some part of the money. You can't get away from that. And if your company goes into bankruptcy, you can't do personal bankruptcy immediately. So I had to repay the whole thing.
Wow.
Um,
That's a Yeah, that's hard.
Yeah. Yeah. And, and once that happened, I was, suddenly I found myself with nothing to do all this time. And I honestly didn't know what I'm passionate about other
Mhm.
than just working. What are some things that interest me? And yeah, I mean, going for a short sprint, I would say it's okay. But you
Mhm.
really need to be a very strong person. You need to be really mindful about it. And, you need to really know, okay, so I do this sprint, but then bam, when it stops, I stop. And if you're
Yeah.
not as firm as that, because you can go into that roller coaster so quickly, and yeah, suddenly years go by, and maybe you can say, okay, so I'm ready to not see my children as often for the next 6 months. I mean, I value family above everything, above anything. So,
Good for
so,
you.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't be able to say something like that, but okay, I understand. Some people are like that. Okay, I don't have to agree with them. I still can understand them. But in all honesty, those 6 months can easily turn into 6 years.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I see it all the time. And that's why, for those of you that are listening, we talk about health here, we talk about relationships, we talk a ton about business. But for me, when we're focused on a business, we usually neglect either the relationships or the health or both. And I'm all about balance. I want to have a happy life. I want to encourage and teach people to have a happy life. And Miha, people like you and I, we don't make good employees, okay? When we know that we have this off-kilter schedule in our lives, or that we want freedom in our lives, that's where the entrepreneurial spirit comes into us. And so many times we find our significance in that business. So when you had $12.5 million, you felt pretty good about yourself. You were successful, right? And then when it's all gone and you're owing that money, you're not feeling the same way about yourself, are you, at that time?
Yeah, I mean, my definition of success was very different than what it is today. And, once all that happened to me, I had to change completely. I mean, it's like, that Albert Einstein quote,
Mhm.
like, if I would just keep doing the same things, I would just keep getting the same results. And,
The definition of insanity,
yeah,
absolutely. I know
yeah.
exactly what you're
So,
talking about. Yeah.
yeah, those results were unacceptable. I mean, some were really unwanted. So I had to completely change. And my definition of success today is completely different. And it has nothing to do with material stuff. I mean, it has to the point where me and my girlfriend, we are really huge on, helping animals, saving them from the streets of,
Mm.
and so on. And one of our biggest goals is to create some shelters here in the Eastern Europe, take care of them, adopt,
Mm.
find them nice families and so on. And yeah, for that you need money. And
Mhm.
in all honesty, I don't want to be dependent on some, government or some organization. So yeah, I
Mhm.
do wanna, I mean, we are working our ass off,
Mhm.
let's say, but still working really smart.
Mhm.
Um, to make that dream happen. But when it comes to us, we don't need helicopters, we don't need yachts, we don't need fancy vacations and so on.
Mhm.
I mean, just being with our dogs, or I don't know, someday, hopefully really soon, we'll enlarge our family with some human baby as well. And that's just precious time. That's what
Yes.
really matters. But yeah, Miha 10 years ago, he valued completely different things. His priorities were different. And in all honesty, I like who I am today.
Mhm.
I was never satisfied back then. I had it all, but I was never happy. I was never grateful for what I already have. I was
Mm.
always, striving for more and more and more. And in the end, it was not being humble and being greedy that got me to where I ended up, like owing that money. And then I went through huge depression, anxiety,
Sure.
darkness. I came really, really close, like minutes away from just committing suicide.
Wow.
And then at that point, I mean, I was basically standing on the balcony of my apartment, which was about to be taken away from me. And, like figuring out how to best do it, how to best jump so that I don't just hurt myself, but I really finish myself. Because at that point, I was even skeptical that maybe I'm such a failure that I even can't do that right.
Oh dear.
Yeah. But then, like I'm saying, just maybe a few minutes before I would actually do that. And, jumping felt almost like pleasure, because when I was suffering all those depression and anxiety and all that, and phone calls every morning for creditors and life was just so hard every single minute. I remember how I wouldn't go to sleep at night because, I knew that once I fall asleep, I will wake up like this. And I wanted, the night, so the time when nobody's calling me, to just last as long as possible, to stop the time.
Wow.
And then, on Friday, I was, wow, weekend. But on the other hand, I was like, oh, Monday will come so soon. And I wasn't enjoying. I was, trying to figure out how to stop time and how to just, prolong it for as long as I can, so the Monday would come as late as possible. And yet, jumping seemed like an much easier option. I mean, yeah, it would probably hurt for like a millisecond, but then everything is over. I was just honestly afraid that I'm not going to do something wrong, and instead of killing myself, just hurt myself and ended up on a wheelchair or something like that. And so, yeah. But
is that what stopped you then? What was the turnaround? Now, I really, really want to hear your current definition of success, but let's hear what stopped you from suicide.
Why? That's why in everything that I do, I'm working a lot with, founders, business owners, executives, and so on, even more than, let's say, with non-entrepreneurial people. That's the first thing I do with everybody. Figure out if they have a strong emotional why, and if they don't, guide them so that we have strong emotional why for whatever they want to achieve. Why is the motivation? Why is what helps you when things are tough? You don't need a why when everything is working well. I mean, you're super excited, you're, motivated, everything is perfect, it's all roses and sugar candy. So you don't need a why at those moments. You need why when things don't go the way you want them, when you're having self-doubt, when you want to give up, or things like that. That's when you need why. And basically, you can find your why either in pleasure that you're going to achieve, or from pain that you will go away from. And I find it that most of the times, a combination of a little pleasure and a little pain is the best way to create a strong why. And it must be really tied to emotions. You need to paint the pictures. You need to, really get all those emotions down, because, things happen. They're not positive. They're not negative. It's our emotions that translate what happens to our brain, and then we decide whether we find that negative or we find that positive. I mean, okay, well, this might be a silly thing, but you probably know somebody who likes to run marathons, and for them, running a marathon is a huge pleasure. Well, not so much for me. I'm not a jogging type. I mean, I like walking, but running, and I mean, running for all those miles, that's not my thing. So, two people, but they see same activity differently. So it's our emotions that translate, and you can only, let's say, fight emotions with emotions. You know,
Ah.
you can't be logical against emotions. So when you have an emotional reaction, I don't know, you get 10 no's from your potential clients, and that's an
Mm-hmm.
emotional reaction. You
Mm-hmm.
can't say to yourself, oh, logically, well, you know what, I'm gonna still make this and this and this because this will result in this kind of result. No, you need
Mm-hmm.
something passionate, something
Mm-hmm.
emotional, something that
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
matters to you. And it must be your why. I see it so many times, especially when I do workshops, and I ask people, what's your why? Let's go around and tell me your why. And
Mm-hmm.
it's almost like, Miss Universe contest. Like, I want to make this world a better place. I want peace on earth. I mean, yeah, I get it. These are all really, really nice whys, but are you really passionate about it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Is it something that, puts chills down your spine when you think about it?
Mm-hmm.
That's when
Mm-hmm.
you have the right why.
Mm-hmm.
So it really must be something that works for you. I mean, I know of one person, and her why is, for some things. I mean, like at that point when I was thinking of committing suicide, I needed one really, really strong why. But then later on, when I bounced back from that, now I have different whys for different parts of my life. So one for health, one for business, and so on. And then I have a bigger why that ties everything together. So now it's a combination of all different whys. But for that lady, one of the whys is that she really values that she looks pretty. And many people might be like, oh, she's so vain. Look at her. She's self-obsessed. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't really matter. It's a why that gets her moving, that gets her to gym, that gets her not eating junk food, and so on. That's her why, and it
Mm-hmm.
works for her. And
Mm-hmm.
I find it often that people are just too afraid to search for the real why,
Mm-hmm.
because they want it to be something popular. They want it to be something, universally accepted,
Mm-hmm.
but then they don't have the strong emotion with it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing
That's
that I find
interesting.
with a lot of people.
Now, what I think with a why like that is it's almost just set up for failure because we can only retain our beauty for a period of time. I mean, we're all going to age. We're all going to, I look in the mirror and I see things that I'm like, oh, you're starting to look older, And if everything is tied to that, I would worry for her in the long run, but at least in the short run, if it's working for
Yeah.
her, it's working,
Yeah. I mean, once you embark on the personal growth journey,
Mm-hmm.
and once you reach the point, I say the point of no return. So
Mm-hmm.
that's the point when you see some results, and you just, from that point on, you just want to learn more. You just want to grow more, and she will learn, she will grow, and I'm sure with time she will find different whys. I mean, we change, our
Yeah,
priorities change, our goals change, our values change, and so on. Today you're single, and maybe you have one set of values, but then tomorrow you meet that special person, and your value system can change overnight. Not
absolutely.
because you have to, but just because you want to. So I mean, to be honest, I really like that she has a why.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. But then I'm sure that why will evolve as she does more work on her, and so on. So it will evolve in probably something else as well, or maybe she will just view beauty in a more lasting way.
Oh, I like that.
Not not
I like
not
that.
not 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 the beauty, like this
Mm-hmm.
let's say a magazine type beauty,
Mm-hmm.
but more like beautiful being a beautiful person from the inside and the outside.
Oh, that's powerful. Yes. There's a big difference in that. I was at lunch today and I was looking over at a woman sitting there eating, and she was a very obese woman, but I remember thinking that she was beautiful because I liked that she took care of herself. Her hair was taken care of. Her makeup was taken care of. She looked put together rather than sloppy, when we aren't taking care of ourselves, which can happen when we don't have a why or when we're depressed and, things like that. She wasn't what some people would consider perfect, but in my eyes, she was beautiful, so I can see what you're saying. Well, let's take a really quick commercial break and we will be right back to talk more about falling forward. And I really want to hear about your definition of success. So I'm going to let you think about that for a second and we will be right back, everybody. Are you looking for ways to improve your life? Did you know that there are ancient texts with all kinds of great information about who we really are? Once you get that down into you, it's life-changing. So I have compiled some of the best for you to listen to for 15 minutes every morning. It's so simple to get it into your spirit about the amazing person that you are. Feel better about yourself. And with these recordings, you actually get 6 free bonuses. So I want you to go after the show to scripturalaffirmations.com for more information. All right. Well, thank you, Miha. I can't wait to hear about your definition of success now versus before. What does it look like now after failing forward?
Yeah, it's
Well,
basically...
both.
Yeah, it's basically really, really simple. It's about the journey. So I'm no longer about just the goals. I do set some goals, or they're more not goals, but more, what I expect from myself. So, like I said, this work that we do with animals, I wouldn't say that's a goal. That's just our way of life. So it's more about those things, and just making every day a happy journey, trying to be as happy, as mindful, as grateful, as thankful. Every day, every single day, and just enjoy life. And even when things are tough, I say to myself, like, this too shall pass. And I really believe in those things now. I mean, they really calm me down, and I would say not being under stress is a huge achievement. But yeah, basically it's spending time doing things that you love and spending time with people that you care about and love, and trying to do something that's greater than you. That's the whole point of my failure movement that I'm trying to get started. And what we do with animals. That's basically it. There's no huge science behind my success today, and what I was considering success 10 years ago, it was basically simple as well. It was fast cars, big hotels.
But it was things.
It was everything about whatever it was. It was all material, and now it's as unmaterial as possible. And I don't just say that. I honestly, I don't find any happiness in owing things. I could just eat like, a few bowls of rice with something every day, and that would be perfectly enough, as long as, our dogs are healthy, as long as our dogs are happy, as long as my girlfriend is, okay, as long as we find time for each other, and so on. So I honestly don't care about material things. I mean, okay, you need to cover the basics. So some roof over our head, something to eat, something to drink, and basically that's it. I mean, that's the definition of success that I have today, and it's definitely about people and about passions. And I love things that have soul, so when we travel places that, that you can almost feel that soul, like going to,
Mm.
to Rome, for example,
We just
when you,
got back from Rome last week. That's what I was thinking about when you
okay,
were talking. Because
yeah,
for people that haven't been there, you have modern housing right next to 2,000-year-old ruins. And it's
yeah,
all melded together. And when I never thought of it as having soul. But Miha, the funnest thing was we went to Paris first, and my husband loved Paris. And I was kind of okay about it, and I had been there before, 38 years before, and I'd wanted to go back. But I secretly loved Rome a little bit more. I wanted him to love them both, but I wanted him to love Rome a little bit more. We were not even from the airport to our hotel, and he was madly in love with Rome. And it just thrilled my heart that he got it,
okay. Yeah,
Mm.
it has that certain flair, and the Italian temperament is a bit different than French temperament, and so on. So it does has its perks. I would say Rome definitely over Paris, for me as well. I mean, we were just there not long ago,
Yeah.
for her birthday. She just wanted to go there, so we went for
Mm-hmm.
a bit extended weekend. And I mean, we do this kind of stuff. It's not that we now like live in not affording ourselves anything, but
Mm-hmm.
the thing is that even if it wasn't for things like that, we will still enjoy life and be happy and enjoy each other's company and so on. It's not that we are dependent on we need to go somewhere, we need to buy something and so on. So
I do
yeah,
understand.
in that context.
I remember many years ago, I had built a pond in my backyard and I had goldfish in it, and I so enjoyed feeding them. And I threw myself a 40th birthday party, and I remember a friend's husband was there, and of course he was a businessman and a real estate owner and all this. And I remember telling him how much I enjoyed feeding the goldfish. And, this man liked golf and all these kinds of things, which, golf is not a sport that I really see myself enjoying. So people are different. But I remember he thought I was ridiculous that I enjoyed the goldfish. But I think it's splendid when we can just enjoy the little things in life, whatever it is, whether it's a view or, whatever comes into our way, that gratitude, taking that pleasure into us, I think refreshes and restores our soul. And
Yeah.
rather than that, we've got to be driven and have things to prove that we have value, to be able to find value and comfort within ourselves, rather than having to come from outside all of the time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely agree. It's just maybe we are passionate. I mean, we each have our own passions. Let's say for me, what I love doing is, especially in the morning when I'm doing the tasks, I put on some nice bachata and salsa music, and
Ah.
I half dance around the house, and cook while dancing, and then one of our little dogs, we have 7 dogs,
Oh my.
all saved from the streets, so I take one of them, the little guy, and he really loves dancing with me. And then we are alone in the house, and I am, like, if somebody would see me, they would probably say he's crazy, but I don't care. I mean, I don't want
No,
to be normal. If that means that
no.
I'm crazy,
Mhm.
but I'm enjoying my life, then I want to be crazy. I don't want to be normal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I love dancing in general, and I love dancing around the house. And I put in wood floors, and I did the work myself. And there's something about taking pleasure in your labor. And it's like each board, I know them and the way they feel under my feet. And I love to do twirls, and I put my hands up and I worship God. And sometimes I dance in there at night when everybody else is asleep. And I can just relate to that. I haven't gotten to the dog. We just got a new dog this week, and I just took him to the vet today. This has been a rough week for us. My husband lost his older brother this week. That was very unexpected.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And
Sorry to hear that.
oh, thank you. We got this new little dog, and we're so excited about him, little Pomeranian. And I took him to the vet today, and he's got a problem with his kneecaps, a genetic disorder. And so I'm trying to talk to the breeder about that. And I woke up this morning, and for my longtime listeners know that I bought this amazing house. I bought this 4,400 square foot house, brought my business, closed down my 5,300 square foot offices and warehouse, moved across country, and moved my business into this house. Well, within a month, it started leaking from the roof, the windows, the doors, the pipes, just all kinds of things. You just can't even imagine what we've been through. So this morning, a wall that I have fixed and painted and, nurtured, and I got the door above replaced so I shouldn't have leaking. I woke up to the paint all bubbled up. Something is coming from behind, and then there's going to be mold issues. And I'm just having one of those days where I'm going, this is not good, and I don't know what to do. I told my husband, my brain doesn't hurt, but it feels like I can't think. Like I'm just kind of going numb with the feeling of, how do I overcome these things, again.
But what I like doing is asking myself powerful questions. I call them powerful questions, but in reality, they're really simple questions. So, you start asking yourself, what can I do about it? Can I do something about it? Maybe. No, I can't fix that. Okay, so can I find somebody who specializes in fixing that? Oh, okay, I can go on Google and start searching for somebody who does this leakage thing nearby. Then what can I do? I can call somebody, so that you put yourself in action, and you don't think about what you can't do, or just something that's outside of your hand, but that you focus on what you can do about it, what your next step can be, and take action. It's good to learn what you don't know, but right now that mustn't stop you. There are always things that you can do. Okay, you realize I don't have the right knowledge to do that, so maybe I can go on a course or buy a book or whatever, or find a coach or a mentor, or I don't know, solve it in a certain manner, but that will take me X amount of time, and I don't want to stop myself from being in action until that point when I learn that new thing. So what are some things that I can actually do now? And you always go back to what can I do, instead of that passive approach where you either wait for something to happen or somebody else to do something. Like I always say, respect everybody, but wait for nobody. It's your life. You have to do it. You are responsible for your own life. Even if just, if you put something on others or on the government or on the country or whatever, like people always try to find excuses. No excuses. Just figure out what it is that you can do right now.
That is great. I really like that. And I wrote down, respect everyone, but wait for no one. I like that. So many people take a victim stance in life, and I've certainly been there. And I have felt a little that way over this home. We got into it, and in less than 30 days ultimately found out that it needed over $150,000 worth of work. And, that's a little bit less than euros, but it's still a tremendous amount of money that, you're not expecting. It's more than half of what we paid for the home. And I went to mediation over it last Friday with the former owners, and they're just angry at us. And it's like, well, being angry is not going to help anybody. But if you had the house back, you couldn't sell it, and I can't sell it. And, the amount of money to fix it is a tremendous amount of money. And when you put that money into it, it's not worth that much money. You can't get that much money out. And, how do we improvise, adapt, and overcome? It's this falling forward. How do we fix this situation?
Yeah. And there are just simple. I would say it's really simple. So
tell me, please.
Well, what I would do is I always first go and try to talk with that other person.
And we did. And we
Yeah.
invited them here multiple times. They declined
Yeah.
the opportunity.
Yeah. So I try that.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't force it. I can just offer a suggestion. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm again, I need to be really mindful about what it is that I can do, and not bother myself with things that I have no influence over or less influence over. So I can't say, oh, they didn't come, because
Mm-hmm.
that's their decision. What
Mm-hmm.
I did is I gave them the opportunity for us to meet to talk about it. Okay, that doesn't work. You can also go to official mediation.
We did that.
Yeah, and what you can do is, so you see that they're not really willing to talk, and okay, it's obvious why. So I would definitely go and find the best lawyer possible for this kind of situation, and just leave it up to him. And I'm sure that if you pitch it in the right way to the lawyer, I mean, I know in US lawyers are really, really expensive, so it must be something within your budget. But the better lawyer you will take, the more chances that you win the whole thing in front of the court, and then basically they will need to cover your court expenses as well, and your lawyer expenses as well. So so that would be a smart way to go about it. I mean, it came to the point where it's going into the court, and I'm guessing you are not a lawyer. You never were a lawyer.
Correct.
So, I mean, why bother with something you are not good at? But what you can do is make sure that you will find best possible lawyer that is within your, I don't know, budget. And you can find, and I would go out and network as hell. I mean, ask people for recommendation, and like spend some time on Google to really find the best possible lawyer for this case. And that's all you can do. I mean, what else can you do? And then I wouldn't worry about this at all, and just go back to what your businesses are, because that's where you can actually do good things. And even if, God forbid, you end up losing the case before court, you at least are making money to pay for the renovation.
In the meantime, I like that. I appreciate that. I am looking for an attorney. Now, I am a person, those of you that listen to me, I avoid attorneys, court like the plague. Now, I will consult with attorneys. Okay. I don't usually hire them. I've hired them once or twice to write a contract, something like that. The only contract I ever didn't write myself and that I paid to have done, I lost a case by one word because of the attorney writing it. So, but in this case, we've done mediation. We're going to go to arbitration, which is not a lawsuit type thing. It's a kind of a step in between, and it's not as expensive. I think courts here in the United States are really structured for lawyers to make money, and people lose because they drag things out, 3, 5, 10 years. It's kind of ridiculous.
I know. And
I don't want to participate in that foolishness, but you've made a great point. Find the best lawyer and then focus on my work, and don't sweat the small stuff in the meantime. I'm worried about mold issues and, the livability of the house,
Yeah. So what I would do is because look, if you now invest at least, I mean, what I would do is call somebody who is really knowledgeable about construction. I mean, I'm not, so I would obviously try to find somebody who is, and ask him. So, okay, there's like 150K of things that we need to do here. Okay, we don't have that money right now, or I don't know, we need it for some other investments or whatever. But come on, honestly, tell me what it is that we absolutely need to do, so that if this things goes on for another year, we will not end up paying twice as more because we didn't took care of some important issues that can, I don't know, tomorrow even ruin our lives or
now this is such a good point, and this is exactly the point that I made to them in mediation on Friday. They had offered us $8,700, which is less than 10% of what needs to be taken care of, for things specifically that they had already agreed to do before we closed escrow, and they didn't do. And I had told them it was actually December 5th yes, we accept that. Thank you so much. Please send the check so we can start the work, and we would like to ask you to take care of these other things as well. And so they had another opportunity to pay it here, it was March. And then they left and declined to do that again. But I said to them before they left, do you realize that if we do not take care of these things, you're allowing the opportunity for more damage to be done? And between Friday and today, that is Thursday, I found 2 more leaks.
I mean, obviously, I don't have a clue how law courts work in
United States. Sure.
United States. I can just tell you that in Slovenia, you would be almost half responsible if I mean, you wouldn't be responsible for the amount that you are at right now, but if in 6 months' time, I don't know, things spread out and you are suddenly seeking more money, you would be equally, if court wouldn't be on your side, it would be probably half-half, because you as a new owner should be taking as good care as it is within your reach. I mean, they would obviously go to check your net worth, if you were able to afford something like that, and so on and so on. But yeah, you would definitely be blamed at least a little bit for not taking the action now that you know what's going on. So yeah, you are waiting for that case to I mean, I have no clue how that works in the USA, but so, yeah, that's why.
That's interesting. We are taking action, and we've replaced windows and doors, and it's trying to make a decision of which thing can we fix first, since we can't fix it all at one time. And obviously whatever we fixed didn't take care of this one problem. And then something that they had agreed to fix that they didn't fix is creating another problem. But let's turn this for a minute and let's go ahead and talk to people about what it is you do for your clients and how people can reach out to you for coaching.
Well, basically, I do 2 things. So I've been an entrepreneur and business in business for the past 22 years. Yes, since I was 18.
Wow.
I created 6 startups. 4 of them failed miserably in 2009. But after that, I created 2 more who are doing really well. I have my Fail Coach LLC business created in the States, which is the 7th company. And then for the past 2 years, I helped 7 business owners. Well, they were really pre-startup or very early startup founders. And I helped them to go from basically zero to hero, or to the market, finding investors, pitching, creating the story, creating the team, and so on. Unfortunately, I was subcontracted by, startup incubators, and they're taking all the credit. So I can't talk about the names. I can talk about the numbers and all that, but I can't talk about names, which is really rough. So now I'm really looking to just create testimonials, because I know that I'm good at what I'm doing. Just to give you one example, so for my last startup, I was able, without any product, just a white paper on 2 pages and an Excel sheet, I was able to get a warm client ready to sign, a big client, and then I was able to get an investor, an angel investor, who invested $3 million US in the company, in the startup. So I think that's a really good thing. I mean, getting an investor to invest that amount of money, and he tripled his money just from cash flow, positive cash flow in the company. And he is also a majority owner. So once he decides to exit and sell the company, he will make a whole lot more money. So that was a good thing for him. And one of the startups that I helped, one of those 7, I just checked that like 2 months ago. There were 2 guys, 2 friends with just an idea. And I actually, it was 9-month program. 9 months of us working together. And I took them all the way to the market. And now they're valued at more than 15 million euros, which is 18, 19 million US.
Right.
Yeah, and I can't say anything about it, and so yeah, so this is one thing that I do, and I'm really good at. So it's early stage business development with a very lean method of how I get idea to the market.
I love that. Now, I'm going to stop you for just 1 second because everybody listening, I want you to catch something he said. He's working with startups, but what he said was the man who was the major owner, he was already looking for him at his selling it later. That's positioning yourself, that's knowing your end game, and that is brilliant. So many startup business owners aren't thinking about that. And I love that you had that in mind for your client and you knew the importance of that. So that's very valuable.
You always need to know where the exit is. You always
Most
have
people
to
don't.
plan for multiple exits. And one thing that I see that many people get wrong is pitching. They pitch their company, they pitch their idea, they create all these slides about who they are, what the product is, what the target market is, and investors just don't care about it. I mean, investors, how you pitch to them is you tell them one slide about what the whole point of the company is, so that they get the rough idea, and then you have to go into the numbers, and the next thing is the team behind it and the experience behind the team, and then the exit strategy. And then you can talk a little bit more about the company if you want, but that's where you catch them. So they want to know if they have enough money to invest, so what's needed and what's on the other end for them when they want to exit, so what ROI they will create. They want to know if the team is the right team. So does the COO have enough experience? Has he failed before? This is one of the huge questions, because investors, they look at this, so you already failed, you learned something from that failure, so it's a lesser chance that you will fail again. And if you never failed before, they say, that might be a liability, and they will get somebody, an advisor, connected with you to just have you in balance, things like that. And then, so they want to know if the team is somebody. I mean, you're giving money to an idea, you look for getting some proof of concept. So having a warm lead or something like that is always good. And then basically how they can exit. I mean, they are not there for 20 years. They want to exit. Now, it depends on the investors. Some want to exit in 2 years, some in 5 years, some in 10 years. But you basically just need to do the homework and see what works and what not. And then that's how you create a pitch. You need to talk the language of the investors. And you need to be prepared on their questions, because if you get them interested in this part, they will start asking questions. And in all honesty, I think that these investors, they really enjoy taking you almost to the point where you start crying. I mean, I've been roasted in front of investors so many times until I started asking the right question and learning about what it is that they want to hear. And now I get really good results with that. That's one very important thing: creating the story and doing the pitch, because that can be the difference between you not be able to do what you're trying to do if you don't have the finances. And then assembling the team and so on and so on. And the second thing that I'm doing, and it's not so different than the first one, is just again, hustlers, side hustlers, entrepreneurs, first time, second time, third time business owners, it doesn't matter. So people, why do I say hustlers? Because I see a lot of people who like to talk about their failures and things, and not like to talk, but you get them to talk and tell you what they want to change, but they're not ready to do any steps. That's why I say hustlers, because I think that people who are either doing something on the side, or are thinking about a company, or are creating a company, they know that you actually need to put in some steps. And that's people that I can work with. I can't work with somebody who doesn't do the steps. I mean, I can give him all the knowledge, but I can't do the steps for them. And basically, I just try to help them bounce back from failure, from burnout. And it's a combination of, let's say, soft and hard skills. So, you need to learn something about why, mindfulness, gratefulness, and so on. And you need some hard skills like, finances and productivity and time management and so on. So it's a combination of a little bit of hard skills and a little bit of soft skills. And it's kind of like this transformation to bounce back, and enjoy life again, be happy, find passion again, find your purpose again. And those are the two things that I do. And so I started with my fail coach. I mean, it was more coincidence. People heard about my story, and then one business school said, well, Miha, would you come and talk to our students about this? We think that it's good that they hear success stories, but we feel that they need to hear fail story as well. Are you willing to talk about it? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I already bounced out of it, and I was like, yeah, I'll come. And then, yeah, suddenly I started getting calls. I was in media, and yeah, suddenly Fail Coach was born.
Wow.
So let's say in the last 4 years, I'm sure I helped more than 1,000 people. Most of them were through workshops, even repeated workshops, because, just in one workshop, you can really hardly do enough work to really change people. But yeah, I do a lot of one-on-one coaching as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I have...
We'll need that. That comes from a unique experience. Somebody that's had a business doing $12.5 million, can add a lot of input. I have a girlfriend. We're going to have her on the show. I've been trying to get her for a while, and we had her booked, and she had to cancel. But she grew a business from home, from her kitchen table, to $12 million in sales. She had it 16 years, and then she and I were in New York, and it was right before her birthday. She had started the business on her 40th birthday, and she told me there was a little problem. There was some kind of a software/hardware problem, something like that, and they were trying to figure out what to do. And next thing I knew, about a week later, she had closed the business after 16 years and all that success. They couldn't overcome that problem. And it was just fascinating, and she's bounced back and has another amazing business. But we're going to have to close out the show. Go ahead and tell everybody how to reach out to you if they need coaching to start a business or recover from a failure.
It's really simple. All they need to do is Google Fail Coach. And I think they will find all my social media links, and they can just use the one that they prefer. But the best way is to find me on Facebook. So they just Google again Fail Coach. It will take them to and not. I would recommend not to go to my business page, because you know that Facebook and business pages is not so popular anymore. But I have a Facebook group, the Fail Forward Nation, and that's where I do most of my live videos. That's where we do weekly mastermind calls. So I would really say to people to join that group, and then from there on, we can figure out what they need. I'm giving everything that I know in the group for free. All they need is just to ask a question. I'm not holding anything back. But if they need somebody, not to just tell them, but also to help them implement and guide them, then yeah, they can just reach out to me, and we'll figure out if maybe the best way for them is one-on-one, or a group thing, or something else. So yeah, basically, I would say come to the group, and we can work everything out from there. But I would just like to mention, this is my, let's say, love child of a project. It's failuresanonymous.com, and it's a project where people can we have on the site, we have confession booth, so people can anonymously vent out about their failures, what's happening to them, because even just getting it out anonymously starts the healing process. But I'm actively searching for people that are open to say it non-anonymously. So we're doing interviews And starting tomorrow, we're going to start doing live interviews on Facebook as well, just chatting with people about failure openly, and of course the lessons that were learned from that. So yeah, I'm all about failure. And yeah, they can just reach out to me. I mean, the best ways, they can find me on LinkedIn and Twitter and so on. But I'm mostly the most active because I really like this live video feature. So Facebook is my game.
All right. Well, I am going to have all of the links that you've given us available on our website at princesspower.com. And Miha, I'm so excited that you took the time to spend with us. And it's about 11 p.m. your time. I just thank you so much. I think that your idea of getting people's failure stories and what they learned is pure genius. I really do. And so our listeners, if you have found value in this, we would ask you to like, share, and comment. All of those things help us in the search engine rankings, help us grow the show and reach more people. We are really looking to help people to change lives. And I hope that you reach out to Miha, and we thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you. It was really a pleasure talking with you. It was really a nice talk. So thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, my absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks so much for listening to the Princess Power Hour with Natalie Thomas. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit princesspower.com or on Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter at @PPPrincessPower. Until next time, work smarter, not harder. Have a question for your host of Princess Power Hour, Natalie Thomas? Contact us at www.princesspower.com or tweet us at @PPPrincessPower.